Hi guys, welcome. It is the 13th of July, which is day 115 of our lockdown vlog. So thank you. Thank you for being here. It's all mad that we've even got to this number, but here we are. There it is. So, first thing actually, just a little bit of admin, essentially. Apologies to anybody who sort of watches these first thing in the morning. It turns out when I got a text message from my mum at about 2, when I got up, that I'd accidentally posted this, but I posted it on a private setting, so people couldn't see it at 10 a.m.
Oh, is that what that was? She messaged me too, but I forgot to tell you.
So basically then I turned it to public, so if you did try to watch yesterday's first thing this morning and couldn't see it, it is now up there. It was uploaded, but I ticked the wrong box when I was uploading.
Alright, you bloody keynos.
Yeah, you keynos. It's like the fact that it was only my mum that sort of went, where's vlog? But yeah, that's
actually quite sweet.
Yeah, it is quite sweet. But yeah, so that should be up there. So apologies if there's anyone who knows was out of joy time, because I do actually know of a few people who say that we're part of the morning routine now, which is flattering and baffling. But I will take it. So yes, thank you.
I'm sort of glad that people want to watch this, but sad for them that they don't have anything better to do.
You dick.
Yeah.
You can't say shit like that.
I don't mean, I'm just lashing out because I had a shave today, and
did the whole face this time?
Yesterday I was sort of looking at my face, and I sort of, not during this, but another time I looked at my face as well, and I sort of arrogantly thought, I'm aging reasonably gracefully, and then I see myself now having had a full shave, and my face just looks very doughy, and it's more chin than it used to be. And I remember that I used to have cheekbones, so I'm just lashing out at these pricks that are watching me.
Oh dear, well that's a start, isn't it?
I'm feeling a little bit spiky today.
I know, Babs. Oh. Not with me. We've actually been we've been on each other's side today, but yeah, a bit spiky.
I'm not going to go into details,
no.
But suffice to say, I've learnt that you don't get anywhere by arguing with people on the internet. Who knew?
Shocker. Yeah, well actually that was why, like, getting up at 2, actually no, I didn't get it, it was earlier than that, but 2 wouldn't have been outrageous for me anyway, but actually we ended up going to bed ridiculously late last night.
About 5:30?
Yeah, it was this morning, very much so. It was light.
Got up about 9.
So tired and a bit spiky. Yeah, internet stuff going on that we won't go into because it's kind of similar stuff that we've covered in previous vlogs. So yeah, we'll leave that there. But you know, if you actually know us or believe us, we'll tell you.
Suffice to say, it's one of those, you can't do right for doing wrong, can you? Because someone criticises you for one thing, and you think, well, okay, well, I'll never think about that. Maybe I won't do that, or maybe I'll do something differently, and then you get criticised for doing the opposite thing.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a minefield. Because it was all kicking off a little bit overnight, and we didn't get to bed till this morning. I woke up surprisingly feeling quite happy. The main reason for that was the first bit of news I saw really perked me up, and it was lovely and made me happy, which was some friends of mine, which I have mentioned on the vlog, Hayley and Joe. They live up in Manchester. They have an absolutely adorable cat, big black cat with big yellow eyes, called Elvis, and he's lovely. He's the friendliest, soppiest cat. He's so lovely. He's dopey and just lets anyone pick him up, and he's absolutely hopeless. He went missing a couple of weeks ago, and they've been going slightly out of their mind because it's really worrying when you just don't know where they've gone. They're little buggers, and it's been 2 weeks, and this morning the first bit of news I had was that he'd been found and he's returned home and he's fine. So that genuinely was enough to go, the world is not a terrible place. And then I came downstairs, and then more stuff was going on, which I did my best to deal with.
I'd like to think of myself as being quite left-wing.
I think that's fair.
But some people who purport themselves to be left-wing that I've engaged with recently make me want to become increasingly right-wing and awful.
Oh dear, that's a shame.
Maybe I'll use this platform to air my awful right-wing views.
Well, that will be really awkward, because then you'll just be watching the dissolution of our engagement.
Bloody immigrants. They come over here and get put on our furlough. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Doubt it.
Yeah, no, I don't think you could even if you tried, Babs. But yeah, so we won't go into any of that because it's not new ground to cover. But yes, if anybody watching wants to have a private chat, then feel free. But anyway, yeah, so we'll leave that there. But that was sort of ongoing saga of stuff that's generally being quite damaging to mental health, damaging to well-being. Genuinely today had actual chest pains because of feeling quite anxious about all of it. Oh, Babs, it's okay. But that is just anxiety.
I like your chest. Because I'm a romantic.
Yeah, I like my chest too. It's fine. It's fabulous. I don't like it when it hurts though.
No, exactly.
But when it hurts for just emotional purposes, that can really fuck off because, like, I don't know about, like, if I were designing the human body, I would say having a negative emotional response due to excess adrenaline, due to fear response, right? That's a legitimate evolutionary tool to sort of make you go, get away from danger. However, having that come alongside one of the feelings of your own imminent death, maybe not helpful to the old anxiety levels. Kind of feeds itself, that does. That's like that feel like, oh, I'm probably just anxious, but I might be actually dying. That's not entirely helpful. So, intelligent design, imaginary person, I've got some notes for you on that one. It seems unhelpful, but you know, there it is. So I'm making light of it because it's that or go hysterical or cry. And thankfully, I'm sort of somewhere between making light of it / feeling slightly hysterical. But that's sometimes quite a fun place to be. Slightly hysterical. Like, honestly, at one point, I did just start laughing to myself today because both of us were trying to sort of watch a film. And both of us kept looking at our phones. Both of us kept sort of, and I noticed that I kept doing the big, which is, it's a thing, it's an anxiety thing. Your breathing rate's a little bit too fast, which actually means your carbon dioxide levels are a little bit too high in your bloodstream because your breathing is too fast. You're not actually exhaling enough. You're breathing in too much, and it causes build-up in lactic acid crystals, which actually causes the muscle pains in fibromyalgia. So thanks for that. That's why they're sort of inextricably linked with mental well-being parts as well, because you have physiological responses to emotional stimuli.
I guess more than one person in South Wales can do science after all.
Oh, to be fair, I can only do science on my own condition because I've done a fair bit of reading on it. But you know, so doing the because. You just sort of, it's just an anxious response. And I noticed that we were both sort of doing it and neither of us were really watching the film. And then I just suddenly found it really funny. And I was just like, this is absurd. And yeah, laughing like a loon. But my mum actually had a similar hysterical response to something yesterday, which was quite funny, actually. My mum was like, I think there's a lot of it going around at the moment. Like, generally poor mental health. Which is fair, and I think that's also why online discussions go from 0 to 60 in a nanosecond at the moment, because everything is heightened, everything's stressful, the backdrop for everything is tense. So rather than perhaps being able to sort of take things with a pinch of salt and work your way up to that emotional response, people are sort of already there at the start. So it's kicking off, and that's, I understand that. I'm guilty of doing it myself, very much so. Like, I do understand, and it seems to be fairly universal. Everybody is struggling across the board. I've noticed this with friends, just with anecdotal stuff online. It's everybody is feeling this, and although we're getting towards lockdown being eased, as I've mentioned before, I think actually that's a cause for more anxiety than when we were all just locked down, because then at least it was like, well, this is the rules, this is what I'm doing, and then as it's eased, that adds to the level of uncertainty of, is this the right thing to do? Does this mean people I love are going to actually catch this and end up in hospital? The easing of lockdown doesn't mean that the virus has gone away. It literally means there is room in hospital for people who do get it. And yeah, the mortality rate is low of the percentage of people who catch it, but it does look like emerging evidence is that there are even like the mortality rate may only be 1%, but 1% of people I know are people I love. But also it looks like there's emerging evidence for ongoing lifelong potential after effects for having this. So all of that, like the more the science reveals about this virus, the more scared I am of having it, and the more scared I am of people I love having it. And as we ease lockdown, that makes that more likely, not less likely. So that's why I think my personal anxiety is shifting. And then when you add to that the backdrop of conflict and nastiness and harassment and bullying and lots of other shit online that we're seeing, and I'm seeing people I care about be at the sort of mercy of, yeah, straight away I'm in defense mode. And I've said it before, if people come for me, that's one thing, but if you come for people I care about, who I know to be good people who don't deserve it, then yeah, that's when Mama Bear is coming out. So that's the backdrop of everything. It's all very tense. And that's the case across the board. And I have sympathy for people who are struggling with it because I'm one of them. I am doing better, I think, because now I mean, like, right, okay, fine, it's gonna be horrible, it's gonna be mental, and we just got to make the best of it mode. But my anxiety levels have been worse this last sort of 2 weeks than they have for the entire level of lockdown. And turns out massively heightened emotional discussions on the internet don't help with that. So just a tip for you, avoid them. But yeah, so that kind of so I was saying about my mum, actually, she had a bit of a moment of hysteria yesterday, which actually was kind of funny and broke the ice on something, because I alluded to it yesterday, that I'd been trying to avoid things that might feed the anxiety, because I've been struggling with the anxiety, and with the mental health history that I have. I'm very aware of my mental health. I'm very aware of things that make it worse and things that help. And I've got coping strategies that I use. When it was at its worst, my anxiety meant that I was agoraphobic, and my depression meant I was suicidal. This is how bad it was. So I don't say this lightly, because quite often you'll see people, I will put a whole hand up and I'll say I'm one of them, who seem quite together and quite like they know what they're doing, and they're sort of in control. They seem quite confident and quite comfortable. That may be the look. You can't know what's going on inside somebody's mind, and very much people who are struggling with their mental health tend to become introverted and don't let people see them struggling. That's why I got agoraphobic. So that's how that works. Yeah, just to be struggling doesn't necessarily mean that you look like you're struggling. Thankfully, though, as I say, I've got coping strategies that work well for me for the most part, and I'm also quite in tune to blips starting to bubble up. And so then, like I say, I go, right, I'm struggling a bit with anxiety. So my first strategy is avoid things that trigger it. So yesterday I was doing all of that. I was trying to avoid all of the anxiety. But as I said, life finds a way to fuck with you. And it does. So we went away to Dorset.
Lovely, relaxing time.
As you know, and it was lovely. It was really beautiful and just what the doctor ordered, and very encouraging in terms of the sort of backdrop of coronavirus, because I was very encouraged to see that most people, well, everybody that we encountered was being sensible. We didn't have anybody getting up in our business. We didn't have anybody flagrantly breaking the rules. People seemed to be aware that they needed to keep distance and were doing so. And yeah, I was really encouraged, and that was all good. Now, what happened next? I have mentioned in the past, and I don't like to have to put caveats on this, but I will, because I realise it sounds very fucking middle class. But I have, and I had before Chris moved in, a cleaner who comes to my house once a week usually, and does 1 to 2 hours to just kind of keep on top of the housework. That is luxurious, and I don't have a huge budget for things like that, but essentially by doing that, I have therefore then got the energy to do all the work shit I need to do and reserve my energy for the stuff that I need to do day to day. It's essentially, it is luxurious, but I consider it very helpful to my day-to-day existence with my fibro and my energy levels and all of that jazz. And I don't need to justify it. It's my money. I can do what I like with it. But I am going to justify that because it just sounds very middle class, and that would be dishonest if I gave you that impression, because not on my budget, mate. I do not. Might have middle class aspirations. I do not have a middle class bank balance, and I think that's fair to speak for both of us on that front. So anyway, yeah. So I mentioned yesterday when I noticed that Chris had had a sneaky shave, and there was evidence because the whole house was immaculately clean, which was lovely, except for shaving evidence. I was like, yeah, if he's done some shaving and not brushed up after himself here.
Wait till you see the state of the bathtub.
But yes, so that you'd think, oh, that's amazing, because I haven't been able to have it cleaned obviously during lockdown because we haven't wanted anybody to come into the house, although that has actually been allowed because they're an employee. I still figured that wasn't safe, so I didn't do it. So the house had become, I think it's fair to say, a shit tip. So
I've lived in messier places.
That does not account for how messy this house was. But like, you know, it is what it is. So what I decided to do was, while we were away, so that it would again be good for my mental health to come home to a nice, clean, safe, pretty, lovely place that I always feel better in a kind of ordered, tidy, clean place anyway, but I don't have the energy to actually make it so. That I would pay my cleaner to come in and do like a deep clean of the whole house. So as I say, normally she does like an hour a week, maybe 2. I paid her to do 7 hours while we were away. Now, get your head around this one, guys, because my mind was blown. We had another friend of ours who lives over the road, literally right by where we are, do the cat feeding. My mum and dad took the dog for a few days, and Harriet over the road was cat sitting basically, so popping over, feeding them a few times a day. Turns out our cleaner decided to stay over in our house, in our bed, for 2 nights straight. That was not the plan.
That is odd, isn't it?
Like, is it me? I don't think that's me.
Is that normal?
No.
Like, you hire a cleaner and they just go, oh, just crash here.
Yeah, no. That's like, the thing is, that's bonkers. I will put a little proviso there. Now, it's important to say she had stayed over previously with our permission when we'd gone down to Bedford for your granddad's funeral.
Yeah, and
So,
our kittens were still very young.
We had the 2 different aged cats at the time. So the adults were allowed out and about as whenever they want, but the kittens weren't vaccinated yet, so they weren't allowed out. So we needed somebody to actually house sit and be here the majority of the time to let the adults in and out, but not let the kittens in and out. So we paid our cleaner. I nearly said her name, and I won't say names.
Because we wouldn't have wouldn't have gone on a holiday and left the cats alone at that point. But obviously, you can't plan for when a funeral's going to be.
So we did pay for her to house sit then. So she has stayed over previously, but that was very much with our permission and planned and agreed. But this time around, that wasn't planned and agreed, and Harriet, who was coming in to feed the cat, informed me while I was away, and I was pretty staggered, and I spent quite a long time going like, is this me? Am I weird to be bothered by this? Like, she stayed before, but like, it's the and then I sort of a couple of times text her, and I was like, do you know what, like, I'm not going to actually have this out while I'm here on holiday anyway. It is what it is. She's already done it. So I'm going to have a chat with her when I get back. But a couple of times I sort of sent her messages and gave her opportunities to be. So I was like, how's it going? And she was like, yeah, fine, done this, done that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, because if she'd asked permission for whatever reason, like she was in a pinch, we'd have given it.
Mm.
We would have. Like, we're pretty easygoing, pretty chilled out people about, like, stuff like that. But the lack of asking made me feel so uncomfortable that was such a crossed boundary. And the idea of somebody who I have trusted with keys to my house is like, you wouldn't use someone's car without their permission. Don't use someone's house without their permission.
Because it's hard.
It's literally where all my stuff is, guys.
It's weird because she is very friendly and seems like a very nice woman. I haven't known her obviously as long as Ellie has, because I've moved into this house much more recently, moving in with Ellie. But like, she's very chatty, very open, and asks us about ourselves, and you know, and we'll talk and very friendly. And it's, you almost kind of, she seems almost like a family friend.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, I think that's fair to say. We've always been very friendly.
But
we don't socialise.
She's not someone we socialise with. She is someone who essentially is paid to kind of do a job in our house, and it's nice that can be kind of on friendly terms and not standoffish or awkward or whatever. But
yeah, I like to think I don't treat her like the help.
No, like we are friends, but even so when this happened, it's kind of, you do kind of have to take a step back and go, no, that isn't
normal,
weird.
Is it?
That is someone we're paid to do a job, just crashing it. But even a friend, like if a
friend of mine had keys to the house and knew we were away and was in a pinch for whatever reason and stayed here,
you'd expect a text.
I would expect them, and I would give permission, but I would expect them to say, hey, really sorry, hope it's okay. I would also expect them to stay in the spare room.
Yeah, we've got another double bed.
Like fair play, she did change the sheets, which wasn't on one of the list of things I asked her to do, but you kind of would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But like, so I was telling my mum about this, and my mum knows the cleaner, and my mum uses her as well, and basically, like, I was there going like, is it me? That's weird, isn't it? That is weird. And my mum just started laughing hysterically. And she was like, I'm sorry, Al. I'm sorry, I've had a hard day. And I was just like, but it was good because it broke the ice, because then I was laughing because I was like, this is absurd. And so then, because I'd been trying to put it out of my head while we were away, because I was trying to sort of just forget about anything that was causing me anxiety. But then I was like, well, the trouble with that is when I come home, I'm going to have a really awkward conversation with someone I genuinely really like. And essentially I've got to put my foot down and be confrontational, which isn't my natural way of being anyway. And I do like her, and I genuinely think it was just a misjudgment. I don't think there was anything weird going on. I think it was just I'm sure if I asked her, she'd say yes, so I won't bother asking. But I felt really uncomfortable about it. And then I was like, no, I can't not say anything. And I also kind of want my keys back. So I'm going to have that conversation. So that was all playing on my mind, and then I had to have this unpleasant conversation, and honestly it did feel like kicking a puppy. Like, she's not a bad person, she's just made a bad choice. Like, I'm not angry with her, I'm just fucking baffled, but felt like quite uncomfortable and quite creeped out, and also like really doubting, like I said yesterday, but I hadn't told you what it was. It was a mind fuck. I was just there going like, what? No, what? Like, for ages, just over and over again. And when I got the message from Harriet while I was away, it was late-ish on the Thursday night, and Harriet, quite understandably, because the cleaner had been so kind of casual about it and sort of gone, oh yeah, no, I stayed. I haven't texted today because it's late, but yeah, I always do, it's fine. That she assumed, understandably, that it was fine. So it was only yesterday when I'd sort of having a message back and forth about how the cats were. She was like, so just to check, like, your cleaner stayed over. Like, that was the plan, was it? And I was like, you what now? And then I was like, have you misinterpreted? Because she just sort of said, oh, I'm staying late. Because I had some other jobs. So I was like, no, what exactly happened? Tell me what she said. But then that night she stayed again, and I was just like, huh? So guys, I'll put this out to you because I was genuinely like tempted to, like, you know, on Reddit they have the "Am I the asshole" threads where people just sort of go like, "Am I the asshole for doing X, Y, and Z?" and then they put it to sort of the public forum of a sort of weird social situation and what they've done. Are they the one in the wrong, or was the other person in the wrong, or is it somewhere in between? Because I was just going like, this is weird, right? But then I told Amy and Di, they were both like, what? And like that, like I think Amy was along the lines of like, I would be calling them now and saying get out of my house, but I was just essentially like, well, what good's that gonna actually do? And also, like, our cleaner is a lovely woman and she wouldn't have done anything bad, but actually while you are in another country and somebody's in your house, it's probably best not to piss them off. I think.
I mean, my main worry, if I'm being totally honest,
I know what your main worry was because you kept saying it.
Well, if she's staying in our house unannounced, is she sort of going, well, it's house-sitting rules, I can help myself to what's in the freezer. I'm going to come back and find my pizza's missing, you know.
said so many times, if she's eating my pizzas. Oh, if she's eating my pizzas, man.
That's the only thing I really care about. And she didn't eat my pizzas, so I've got no beef with her. She can come round and visit wherever she wants, as far as I'm concerned. But I think it's odd, but I don't care.
As long as you don't eat my pizza, man, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
provide your own dinner.
Yeah, it was like,
who knows?
well, yeah, the house was immaculate. She'd done the cleaning that she needed to do.
It looked really nice, and she done some pictures for us. She did a really good job.
We did ask her to do that. That would have been overstepping the mark.
Yeah, she just randomly
decided to decorate.
But she'd hung up the pictures that we'd asked her to do, which is she's done a really good job. Like, if she hadn't done this really mad weird thing, it'd be like, I don't know.
It's so guys, is it us or is that weird? I'm pretty sure that's weird.
But we have no way of knowing.
Like, it's like, yeah, I just this for days, like, just so confused, baffled, taken aback, like, bonkers. So anyway, I ended up having this conversation with her by text because Jesus Christ, I don't like phone calls at the best of times, and my anxiety was already through the roof, and she was absolutely fine about it. She apologised. She didn't explain why she'd done it. I could have done with knowing like what her thinking was, I think, but she just kind of went, "I'm so sorry, it was out of line. I completely understand. I'll get your keys back to you. I can come around with them now if you want." She was being very accommodating, and I was like, no, there's no need for dramatics. I just sort of think we can't have a cleaner in at the moment anyway during lockdown. And I just kind of think I'll have the keys back and then we'll let the dust settle and then we'll see what happens down the line. Like, that's all it was. It wasn't like, fuck you, you're fired, get out, give me my keys. It wasn't any of that. But yeah, I like, even saying that to some people though, some people have gone, you what? Like, I would have gone batshit crazy on them. And like, even
sound off in the comments.
Even the most chilled out people I know have been like, yeah, you don't just stay in someone's house without their permission.
Because she's so,
it's weird.
Because she's so sort of nice and sort of lovely, you kind of forget where the line is. But like, yeah, let us know in the comments what you would have done if someone had stayed uninvited and in your house without your knowledge or permission.
I thought it was the kind of thing that like you'd write into a sitcom. And people would say, oh, that's funny, but it's not realistic.
Bit far-fetched.
Like, because even like a friend who had keys that was house-sitting, you'd be like there wasn't house-sitting, but there's like feeding the cats or popping in to like water your plants or something. You'd think that was weird if they stayed over and they didn't sort of go like, oh, do you know what? Well, send a text. I would have said yes. Like... We're pretty chilled out people, surprisingly.
She told Harriet that she always does this.
I know, and that creeped me out as well.
I don't think she does. Like, I think that was just a lie she said in the moment.
We're never not both here without having sorted out cat sitters and stuff, but like...
I don't think that means she stayed in our house more than we
knew.
I think that was just something she was saying because she was worried about Harriet. Like, it's like something out of like an episode of Fawlty Towers or something. Isn't it? Some 70s farce. Like she go, I'll stay in the house. They won't mind, and then get some peace, and then oh no, the cat sitters come round. I've got to hide. Oh no, I'll be caught. I'm gonna make a lie.
That actually made me think, though, because when we were telling it to the guys in Dorset, I can't remember who it was that said, I think it might have been Di, but I can't remember. But so it said, it reminded them of this story, which I'll have to do some research in to check the authenticity of it, but I love it as a sort of urban legend. But there was this person, a guy in Japan, I think it was, who had a flat and, like, thought he was going mental, like, because, like, he'd go out to work and he'd come home and it would just be signs that someone had been there. Like, things would be moved, like his towel would be wet, the shower would look like it had been used, there'd be like crumbs on the table, and you'd just be like, this is like, I feel like I'm going mad. Like, more food would be gone than you'd expect, and it was just sort of like something was going. So what he did was he set up cameras to find out what was going on, and then he sat there and he watches the cameras, the footage, and in the footage sees him leave for work, and then a panel he didn't know was there open up in a wall, and a little woman came out who'd been living in his fucking wall and using his house while he wasn't there. But the thing is, he was watching the footage and then went, that means she's still in the wall. Like, because I'm watching her and I know where she is, and like that absolutely gave me chills. So even if somebody had just written that as like a creepypasta, oh, well done. But like, it was just like, oh, it just gives you the heebie-jeebies, because your home is your territory, is your safe space, is the one place in the world where only people you choose to be there can be. You have full control of everything that happens in that space. So just it's why people who have like burglaries feel so violated, because it's just not even necessarily that they've lost stuff, it's that somebody was in their space.
It's literally what the film Parasite is all about.
I haven't seen it.
It's really good, guys.
Oh.
If you haven't seen it, watch Parasite.
I might have to wait a while.
It's all subtitled and things, but it's worth it. It's so
It won Best
good.
Film, didn't it?
Yeah.
Was it last year's Oscars?
It's not like Best Foreign Film, like actual Best Film.
Yeah, there were a lot of What Next Brigaders got really pissed off about that. It's like, oh, just say you're racist and shut the fuck up. Like, come on.
But it's really good. It's really fucking good.
I don't mind a film with subtitles. I do have to, though, acknowledge that our current state of living, we don't put films on early enough in the day usually for me to be okay with subtitles, because you need to sit and watch them properly. You can't sit and half watch on your phone or something, because obviously you have to give it proper undivided attention. And as we proved with our afternoon of Guardians of the Galaxy, which I love that film, by the way.
Yeah, me too. I was really excited to watch it, and then we got all distracted.
And it used to be one of those films that I would sort of, back when I had a DVD player upstairs in the bedroom, which I got rid of because it was a bad pattern for like insomnia, but I would put films on to go to sleep to, and it was one of the ones that I would go to. So I've seen it loads of times, but
I've only seen it once before, and I wanted to watch it kind of properly, and I
haven't rewatched it in a long time. So I was really keen to, because you know when it's something you really love but you haven't seen for a while, you really appreciate it all over again. I love that film, but both of us were sort of half watching at best.
Which is a shame. I really was looking forward to seeing it, because I've only seen the Guardians of the Galaxy films literally in the cinema, and
I've only seen the second one in the cinema that one time, so we're going to watch that now because they're on Disney Plus.
Yes, we'll watch those too, which is great. But I really wanted to see them again because Lindsay Ellis, who I think is my new favourite YouTuber.
Yeah, I've only been sort of watching some by proxy because you had them on and I caught the tail end, but I really like it.
I asked for some YouTube recommendations on Facebook, and my friend Mal recommended them, and they're really, really good. And I realised, because I feel almost self-conscious now, because we're doing this is going to be broadcast on YouTube. Like, I'm very aware that, like, my endorsement means nothing to Lindsay. I'm very much speaking as a fan. I'm not in any way imagining that I'm a peer of Lindsay Ellis, because we're both YouTubers. Like, we've got about 26 subscribers.
Something like that.
And she's got sort of
like and subscribe, guys!
Help me become a peer of Lindsay Ellis.
Well, actually, there are things that we can't do on YouTube as YouTubers until we've got 1,000 subscribers. So I think it's going to be a while before we can really call ourselves YouTubers.
Yes, that's true. But
will we get there? Who knows?
But point being, though, she's really good. She did a video all about Guardians of the Galaxy, which reminded me how good those films are and made me want to watch them again. But we were a bit distracted. Another thing that happened while we were trying to watch this film is that we took delivery of some post.
Oh, he was so happy. It was adorable. And actually, just what was needed today, because like I said at the start, it's been quite angsty. And actually probably about a week or so back, I can't really tell, time has no meaning during lockdown, but a little while back you had a bad few days with anxiety when this was all kicking off previously. That had sort of calmed down, and then it had blown up again from yesterday. So I think you having a delivery of something you were really happy about was literally, it's a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but you looked so happy, and it made my heart hurt. It was adorable. It was like Christmas for a 6-year-old boy.
And I knew what it was. I'd been expecting it because I was the one who'd ordered them. That's what you have to do when you're grown up, is you have to
buy yourself Christmas
buy yourself a Christmas in the middle of July. And so I knew what it was. Well, I've mentioned before on the vlog that I've been reading through the Marvel
I can see them there.
Ultimate Graphic Novel Collection. You can see them just
the edge of them anyway.
In shot there, and basically I was getting those through the post via subscription for a long time, but then I stopped getting them because money. But I've been reading through them, really enjoying them, and wanting to get some of the ones I didn't have, so I'd ordered some of those, and I was excited to get them. It means I've now got, along with some others, I've now got parts 1, 3, 4, and 5 of a run of comics called the Infinity Saga.
Which I assume is sort of to do with the kind of the Infinity Saga of Marvel films that have been out, or like
they're
crossover
around the sort of Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos and things. Right. But in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Infinity Saga encompasses 23 films. It's basically all the films from Iron Man all the way up to Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more going on in there, and there's a lot more books that have influenced all those films. But the Thanos storyline, the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, is based on this stuff by a guy called Jim Starlin, who he's quite fascinating. He basically keeps falling out with Marvel. And keeps going, right, I'm never going to work for them again. And then he keeps going back to them because he invented the character of Thanos.
Right.
But they own it.
Right. So he's I've got some stuff I want to do with Thanos.
Exactly. He just loves...
come back.
He doesn't really write any other stories about it. He just writes stories about Thanos. And
that must be awful when somebody else owns the intellectual property rights to something you created.
That's true, but that said, I bet he's made a decent wedge of
money. Oh, God, yeah. No, I'm not feeling particularly sorry for him. I'm just thinking, let's say, with one of my escape rooms, let's say somehow somebody bought the intellectual property rights to the story I created and the characters I created. It would be galling. So particularly if they do things with it that you don't like.
He invented Thanos for a Iron Man comic, like a one-off, like a bad guy.
Yeah. He's a good bad guy.
And then he used him. He was writing Captain Marvel in the 70s, and he used Thanos through that. And then he was also in the 70s writing a character called Adam Warlock, and he used Thanos in that as well.
I feel like I know someone who uses the name Adam Warlock, and I just assumed it was their actual name, but it might be a little pseudonym.
I don't know. But then he came back in the 90s and he wrote the Infinity Saga, which is where you get the Infinity Gauntlet and all that stuff. And it was and then the Infinity Gauntlet was followed by the Infinity War and the Infinity Crusade. They weren't actually... I've never actually seen them called the Infinity Saga outside of this particular collection.
Right.
But anyway, point being, I have, of the Infinity Saga now, I've got volumes 1, 3, 4 and 5.
That number 2 is annoying, isn't it?
Number 2, and because this was a part work, there was a subscription and through newsagents and things like that, you can't even look it up in Waterstones or things like that.
It wasn't sort of traditionally published.
When I was looking the other day, I couldn't even find a picture of part 2. I only know it exists because there's a list of all the titles on Wikipedia, and also because I own parts 1, 3, 4 and 5.
It'd be weird if part 2 didn't exist.
That'd be a really weird choice that they made with the part 1.
Maybe they were just fucking with you.
But that's one I really, really want to get. But in the meantime, I'm very happy to get these ones. But they arrived in the middle of this film, and they were really tightly packaged, which is what you want if someone is going to send you books through the post. You want
particularly hardback books.
Yeah, you don't want them to be kind of loose or damaged or anything.
Dog-eared.
But it did mean that I had to kind of wait for explosions to kind of rip off the next bit of sellotape.
It could be argued that you could have waited till the film wasn't still on.
You could argue that.
But I think I was quite patient with it. At one point I did go, shh.
I think
and then you giggled.
Yeah,
so it was fine.
I think that was fair.
It was all like covered in. It was like covered in tape, and then it was like brown paper underneath. But it was also several different packages in a package. So like once you got it open, there was still other stuff to open. I was like,
there's more still to tear and rip because
there was some looks being given.
It was good. They'd be very carefully packaged, and I ordered some more off the guy as well. But
that was a nice little bonus because we'd actually booked pre-COVID a trip away with like 10 or 12 friends to go and stay in a National Trust bunkhouse in the Gower. But actually they've obviously all been cancelled, but we didn't know if we were going to be able to postpone and go another time, but they have actually just now said we're just going to refund and then open bookings down the line. So they've just refunded, and it's kind of when you have a refund on something that you'd kind of already mentally spent, because bless you, you were like, oh, I kind of maybe buy one or two more, and I was just like, just buy more comics, Babs. Like literally seeing how happy you were when they arrived. I was like, if you want, it's your money. You don't have to ask permission anyway. But if literally, as long as I get to see you look like that happy again, I am fine.
Also because per volume he was given quite a good price, so and he's got quite a few. This guy, so you sort of want to grab them while you can see it, because like I say, it's not ones you can get.
Yeah, if he's got them all,
on Amazon or Waterstones or something. So I want to grab as many of them while I can. But
it's annoying though, because you can't actually really have any way of finding out which ones are the hardest to get hold of.
No,
I would assume
really
the ones later in the run would be the harder ones to get hold of, just because fewer people would have been subscribing, so they might have done
the
lower
early
print.
ones in the run are easier to get hold of, but I don't really know what the cut-off is or whatever.
No.
And they're still publishing them now, like it's still ongoing.
Oh, I didn't realise that. Crap, are they once a month?
They're twice a month.
Oh God.
So
I shouldn't have encouraged this habit.
So it's really cool. But
no, it is.
Another one I really want to get is one called Moon Knight.
Is that part of this? Or is this
yeah. Moon Knight, and
just checking this wasn't a separate collection.
He's
like
to start. He's like a. I have ordered the occasional like peripheral title around the ones that I've read, but there's one called he's like a kind of Batman type character with like a multiple personality. Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
And he's got like a kind of multiple
Sounds
personality.
a bit like Moon, doesn't it? Do you remember the Wolf Moon?
Well, it reminds me of sort of Black Noir from
Black
The Boys.
Noir, yeah. Black.
But Moon Knight, he's got like multiple personality disorder. He sounds quite cool. I've never read any books about it. That's what I'm looking out for. But anyway, so that's exciting. I might start, I genuinely think I might start a YouTube series about the Marvel Ultimate Graphic Novel collection.
That is probably a good niche. And you've got them from the start, so you could start there, and then the ones you've got missing, you've got time to get hold of.
Absolutely.
And actually, if it starts up a bit of a following, you might be able to get hold of some.
Imagine that. That'd be amazing.
That's your niche, Babs.
Before we go, because we are rambling on, but before we go, I just want to say, today, the cats have been super affectionate. It's almost as if they knew we were a bit stressed and wanted a bit of extra love.
It was literally like really he heard you say that, or just arrived as you said that. Hello.
Well,
hello, little man.
Earlier, I had one of the cats kind of lying on the sofa next to me, leaning his head on my thigh like it was a pillow, and letting me stroke him. And then another one, this one who's just wandered down by our legs, he jumped into my lap and kind of purred and sort of and licked me and
hello,
hello.
Hi. Oh,
so he's been affectionate now as well.
Yeah.
And Arthur.
Oh, he's licking my leg.
Arthur got into bed.
Probably not very good viewing.
Got into bed
I'm
and
very
cuddled
happy.
up with you earlier, didn't he?
Yeah, they've all been being very smoochy, and
I don't know if it's partly because we were away for a few days.
But also
sometimes you do feel like they sense, they're a bit stressed. Let's give them a bit of love.
Very medicinal, and I cats, guys. I highly recommend them.
Yeah.
Have you tried Cats? Not the musical, and certainly not the fucking film. Hello.
Hey. Look at this. You see,
look at this little man.
Almost on the vlog.
Almost.
Just your ears. It is on the vlog.
I think this might be slightly cupboard love, but I will take it. So I think that is probably a good cue for us to disappear off, because someone wants some feeding.
Yeah, he does.
But like and subscribe's off. He doesn't care.
Like and subscribe, guys.
There's no shame in it.